I'm going to talk to you today about stages of change, and the reason we want to look at this is because one of the sayings we use in recovery is nothing changes if nothing changes. Sounds pretty simple, but the truth is many people come into the program and they have this idea that it's going to be easy. They have this idea it's going to be quick, and then pain starts to occur. There starts to be some prices to be paid, and people decide, nah, I don't know. But what accounts for that? Well, it's accounted for under the stages of change model. This is a model that's used in the addiction circle, and so we'll talk a little bit about each stage of change. The first stage is pre-contemplation, and obviously this is where many people come into the program. They really don't want to make any changes. They don't really want to change habits. They think they do, but they haven't yet recognized what the real issue is or what the real problems are. People came in to renew you and they thought the issue was their weight or what the scales recorded. And they began to see that weight isn't the issue, that food isn't the issue, that the struggle is really a struggle with the self, and that I'm the issue. So once a person could get to that place, they would actually be in a later stage of change, but let's look at what leads them to that place. So in that pre-contemplation stage, people will continue to stay there for a long time, and they begin to selectively filter information that supports what they don't or do want to do. For instance, if they say, okay, I'm coming in here, I really want to address, my health. Okay, they may want to as a thought, but in reality they may not want to. There may be hindrances that they haven't looked at. There also could be the idea that they've tried this before and it hasn't worked, and so they feel a little worn down by it. They may have negative patterns of lifestyle that are very difficult to change, that they've had difficulty changing in the past, so therefore they feel hopeless that it will change in the future. So that's the pre-contemplation stage. Pretty much they think there's a problem, but they really don't even know what the problem is. If that person is successful, gets enough information and is challenged, perhaps they'll move into the contemplation stage. And this stage is where the person begins to really weigh the cost. They begin to see, is this going to be worth my time? Is this going to be worth my effort, the finances? Are the benefits going to outweigh the costs for me? Unfortunately, people quit. Unfortunately, people will get into the contemplation stage and contemplate, it's not worth the effort to me. I don't want to pay what it's going to cost me to change, meaning it's going to be hard work. So many people are in a pleasure-seeking mode when they come into a program like this. They're seeking pleasure, they're avoiding pain, they want the shortcuts, they want something to happen quickly, they want a lifetime habit to be dismantled within the first week or two of the program, and that's simply not going to happen. So the idea in this contemplation stage is, as a person again is presented more information, is encouraged, as they're making lists of pros and cons, as they're weighing out things, perhaps then they will get to the place where they say, all right, I'm going to prepare. I'm going to prepare to make a change. I've decided, and it's going to be time limited. They know, say, within the next month, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to make some changes in my life. So the preparation stage really prepares them mentally for a shift of where they're going to move to. In other words, it's that idea of looking in the past and saying, I don't like what's there. It didn't serve me well. Perhaps a person got to the place where their pain has exceeded their fear of change, and they finally say, I really am done with this. There's just no looking back. And if they stay in that preparation stage, they make that decision, say within a month, I'm going to really do something about this. They're weighing, sifting. Then they'll go to the action stage, where this is where changes are actually occurring. In other words, there's actions put to thoughts. The information's been brought in, they've sifted, they've weighed the cost, they know that it's going to be hard. They don't know how difficult it will be, but they are aware that nothing's going to happen quickly. This is going to be a lifestyle change. Lifestyle happens through the lifespan. And so they continue to have daily actions, hourly actions, that will really encourage different changes in their lifestyle. So in this stage, it's very key to be in a support system, because this is where relapse often occurs. And last night we did say in the program that this isn't about being perfect, because that's not what we're shooting for. That's probably not going to happen in this lifetime. But if we do relapse, in other words, if we do go back to an old habit, or we slip and we think, whoa, I'm back into that stage where I'm looking back and thinking, oh, I kind of want that, we can quickly get back up and we can quickly say, no, I need to move on. I had read from Joel chapter 3, and Joel chapter 2 verse 3 says this: a fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. And what we discussed with is it's during this action stage that leads us to a maintenance stage. But what leads us to maintenance is where we've already done that look back. I look back and all I see is desolate. There is nothing behind me. But the problem of it is, in areas of recovery, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical, nutritional, we leave things planted in our background. Like we look back and there's that little plant that we can kind of bring forward, like go back and visit. It's kind of tapping us on the shoulders. And so as we look back, we think, maybe I'll go back and resurrect that. So we've got to be able, and it's a mind shift. It's convincing. It's commitment to say that was desolate. There was nothing really good about it. Any short-term pleasure that I had is simply not worth it. I don't feel good. I feel sick. My joints hurt. Spiritually, I'm not fit. Emotionally, I'm dragged down, because they all work in tandem with each other. And so that maintenance stage is a constant rearranging of that, a constant looking at that, a constant saying, okay, if I don't look backwards, that means I'm looking forward. And I like what Joel 2 says, that there's a fire that goes before us that is devouring. So I think of that as like there's a fire that's actually putting a pathway out there for me, and it's burning things out ahead of me. And just the thought of that, the land is as the Garden of Eden before me. That's what I'm thinking about, because that's what it's like to walk in unity, to walk in wholeness, to not have internal divisions, to not have your flesh wanting to do this, your spirit wanting to do that, and to be into that constant war, that constant struggle. And so during this program, we've had to look at some very hard truths, and we discussed these last night, where some of the hard truths are us saying that maybe I don't really want this. And there are some people that still are in various stages along the spectrum of change. But God's word says this this is also in Joel 2. He says, until every hindrance is removed and broken fellowship is restored. That's what God is about in this program, causing us, wanting to or not, to look at our hindrances. These hindrances are the cause of broken fellowship in our lives. And so God's dismantling every hindrance that is breaking our fellowship. And He's going about that very steadily, very persistently, very methodically, actually. If we could get out of His way, we would see the methods by which He tries to break down these hindrances in our life. What comes to light in this program are many defects of character which do hinder us in this thing called recovery. So what we have to look forward to as we commit to action and maintaining, this is that continued lifestyle of growth. I'm not stopping when I'm done with Renew You. I'm going to continue allowing God to break down the hindrances, being aware as I come to Him in prayer, being aware as He's changing me internally, that those inner changes are going to continue to be manifest externally. And so I guess what I want us to be thinking about, whether you're in the program or you're just joining us for the podcast, is where are you at in the stage of change? And so I'm not talking just about nutritionally, how we eat, because I told the group last night how I will measure the success of this program is how many hindrances have you allowed God to break down? Where are points of fellowship being restored in your life? That's really what I believe God is about in this program, because He's really ministered to me in many areas as I've been a participant as well as the facilitator of this program. So I want to ask you, pre-contemplation, contemplation, action, preparation, maintenance, which stage are you in? It's critical for you to decide that, because sometimes we'll kind of go back and forth between stages, but it's not till we really get to that action stage where something really changes. Up to that point, we're just thinking about change. We're weighing, we're gathering information. So where are you at? It's important for you to be able to discern. And so I would like you, as your challenge, to be able to write that down and think about that, pray about it, and come back to the group and talk to the group about what stage of change you think you're in. Because every stage is okay. Everybody's not going to be in the same place. But where are you? And are you in a place where you're really inviting God to remove hindrances in your life? Do you want your self-nature gone? Do you want to look back at your past and say, I don't even want to look back there. There's nothing worth looking back to. I want to look forward. I want my land to be as is Eden. Isn't that awesome to think? Eden is that place of unbroken fellowship with God. It's that place where God loves me, I love Him. There's no internal divisions within me. There's no dividers between me and God. There's access to His courts, access to His presence. Isn't that just awesome to think? Being at one, being at unity with Him, and being at unity with each other. So you make a decision. We'll talk about it in group. And you who are just watching, you make a decision and commit yourself to God that, God, I've been in this one stage long enough, and I am ready now to move on. And ask God to give you wisdom about how to do that. If you would do us a favor, there's a subscriber box for you to check above the little picture frame that you're watching. That will help extend our ministry. I would appreciate that. If you just click that, you'll get notifications when new podcasts come up. And this is going to continue to be an ongoing thing even after the program's over, because we want to make sure lifestyle changes happen over the lifespan. So I'm going to commit to you to continue. We've got some special things in store for you in the future. So at any rate, I want you to imagine you can be renewed. You really can. Trust God on that. Ask Him, remove my hindrances, God, restore broken fellowship. Have a good week.